Okay, guys, just to reintroduce ourselves, even though I just did that. I'm Ella, co-maid of honor.
And I'm Emma.
Okay, I'm going to kick us off with speeches, and Ava, I'm going to preemptively apologize if I start crying. I'm going to try my best, but you know me. I've known Ava for 2.5 years, which seems crazy, because it's honestly strange to imagine the parts of my life now where Ava hasn't been my best friend. I met Ava at a swing dance around the end of our freshman year through a mutual friend. I've told Ava this before, but driving back home to Washington for the summer at the end of that school year, I remember telling my mom, I'd really love to get to know Ava better next year. The Lord heard me and answered that prayer because I happened to live underneath Ava and Emma the next year in the on-campus apartments at MSU. And within that same year, we were all living together in our own apartment off campus, which has honestly been one of the best times of my entire life. It's been a real blessing. I've never had a friend I became so close with so fast. There's nobody I'd rather say we're literally the same person with. You're one of the most steadfast, like-minded, kind, wise, and giving people I've ever met. And then enter Luke around this same time last year. Luke is just a walking green flag. Apart from him being an upstanding Christian, a phenomenal guitar player, and and him inviting Ava pronghorn hunting for one of their first real dates, which I was like, oh yeah, heck yeah, Luke, this guy's a real one. Was that one of the first movies he had Ava watch after they started dating was Napoleon Dynamite. And any of you who know me well know that I'm a big movie quoter, and I quote Lord of the Rings and Napoleon Dynamite on the daily. So it wiped out any questions in my head about Luke's quote-unquote worthiness to date Ava when I knew that you'd shown her that movie. Last October, around a month into Ava and Luke dating, she and I took a last-minute drive up Highlight Canyon on one of the first snowy nights of the year. And as it tends to go, we end up talking about relationships. Gotta flip the page. And listening to Ava talk about Luke, it became obvious so quickly just how perfect they are for each other and how openly he loves her. The Lord really had a plan bringing the two of you together. Luke's faith, patience, and sincere love for the Lord left no doubt in my mind that they were meant to be together. Getting to watch their relationship unfold from the first few dates to Ava first telling me that she could tell their engagement was coming up, to Luke coming to me the day before the proposal wanting to discuss a project for Ava, which I knew what that was, to wedding planning and dress shopping, and finally being here today has been one of the greatest blessings of my entire life. I'm so filled with joy for both of you. You deserve every blessing the Lord has given you. And what a privilege for me to be here to witness it. I'd like to close with one of my favorite Bible verses. It's Numbers 6, 24 to 26. A blessing that God instructs Moses to tell Aaron and the Israelites as they traveled through the wilderness to the promised land. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. That is what I wish upon your relationship, peace, and that the Lord's hand would be continually upon your marriage. I'm sure it will. He is the rock on which your relationship has been built, and what a blessing that is. I love you both. You're honestly two of my very, very favorite people on this planet. And I cannot wait to see all the blessings the Lord has in store for your marriage and to continue watching you grow in your love and faith for each other, and more importantly, your love and faith in the Lord. Love you guys.
All right, Ava and Luke, I am so very happy that we're all here today celebrating you. I'm just so excited, and I'm also going to try my very hardest not to cry, but I met Ava 7 years ago as we were just little high school freshmen going into our next big chapter of life, and little did I know that I would get to go into the next and the next big chapters of life with you, Ava. And now I get to be here for both of you, stepping into your guys' next big chapter. From high school freshmen all throughout high school, standing at each other's lockers, giggling away, to having every class together and running pep rallies and making so many inside jokes, to finding out that we were both going to the same college, which turned into automatic roommates for the next 3 years of our lives, which I'm beyond grateful for. And boy, did the Lord know what he was doing, because this next chapter was filled with more inside jokes, late night crash outs where I could definitely tell you were ready to go to bed, but here I came, crashing out about one thing or another, probably chemistry if we're being honest. But you always popped right up and were so eager and ready to listen, and always ended the night with laughter. It was full of football games with crazy weather, road trips, concerts, and so much more. And of course, our late night talks of us imagining our wedding and what those days would be like. And look, here we are. And I am so beyond glad that we got to do that chapter together. And there was no one else I would have rather cried with, laughed with, walked to endless dining hall dinners with, had late night Walmart or ice cream runs with, and so many more core college memories that I wouldn't have wanted to have with anybody else. Now, after all those years of knowing and living with Ava, Luke, here are some things that you have to look forward to. Sourdough, obviously. Movie nights. Amazing cooking and baking, of course. Laying on the floor. That happens quite often. Late night drives. Someone who will make you laugh just because she has a superpower for being able to tell when you need it. And she will make you laugh whether you want to or not. Someone who listens and makes you feel heard. Someone who will cheer for you through everything. The greatest church date every week. And even though there might be some hangry or early morning moments, you will have someone who inspires you and pushes you toward Christ every day and will always be your greatest teammate. I am so beyond happy that you guys are here getting married, and that Ava has you, Luke, and Luke, you have Ava, and that the Lord has brought both of you into each other's lives. And I wish you so much happiness and adventure as you guys step into this next amazing chapter. We love you.
Love you guys.
Hi, everybody. My name's Joey Thatcher, and I'm the proud brother of this wonderful groom over here. And apparently, he likes me enough to call me his best man. So I guess that's something worth. But now, I've never given a speech at a wedding before, if you can't tell. So, but I heard that you're supposed to keep them nice and short. So here's to Luke and Ava. We'll see you all out on the dance floor, okay? No, I'm just kidding. But I really do want to thank everybody for coming out, and special thanks to our parents and Ava's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Mellum. Thank you so much for putting this all together. It's just really wonderful. So let's give them a hand. All right, now onto the actual speech. So there aren't many people that can say they have the coolest brother in the world. Luckily for Luke, I was born about 3 years after he was, and so he only had to live 3 years without me. So yeah, then I came along and just brought joy to his life. So, but being Luke's brother, I could tell you guys stories for hours and hours about just all the times we went fishing for a whole day and didn't even get a bite, and then or hunting and deciding it was a good idea an hour before shooting light to walk in like 4 miles, and then on the way out we fight in thunderstorms and all this and that. But there really are just so many good memories growing up with Luke, and he's just been an awesome brother. But this speech and this day isn't about me and Luke or even just Luke. It's about the two of them. And so it's all about Mr. and Mrs. Thatcher. So I remember growing up with Luke. He's always been into dirt bikes. I remember when he got his first dirt bike, and one of his famous sayings that stuck with me is, let's see here. I would much rather have a dirt bike than a horse. You don't have to feed a dirt bike. But now he found Ava, and she's into horses, and something changed in Luke's mind. So I don't know what that might have been, but now I hear him talking, oh, yeah, one day we'll have horses. But this is just a funny example, but I really have, in the past year, that I've gotten to know Ava a little bit, and seeing Luke and her together, just seen so many changes in Luke's life especially that Ava's brought, and it's just been so awesome to see how just the joy that Luke gained from it, and just the way he smiles now, the way when they're together, it's just awesome to see. But I can just tell by looking at the two of them that they're meant for each other, and it really is just so awesome to see how they've grown. And but yeah, yeah, that's really all I got. But thanks. Here's to Luke and Ava.
I'm Jack Thatcher. I'm Luke's dad. I too would like to thank Spencer and Kelly, you guys, first of all, for raising such a beautiful, beautiful daughter. She's incredible, and when I first met her at, I think it was Nikki's bridal shower, and we got to go out to dinner with her, and then she came back in February, and we were able to get out on the ice and go fishing, ice fish down on Lake Blaine. She came for Easter, and every time I got together with her, I thought, what a beautiful, beautiful young lady. And I could totally see why my son just fell head over heels in love with her. So I'm so grateful and so thankful. When I think about today, I'm kind of guy, I get kind of reminiscent. And I tried to think of, weddings are such a big thing, as Pastor John so eloquently put in a ceremony today. And I noticed he used the descriptor good. And as people, we always try to come up with things that describe the quality of situations. And in our humanity, we always think we got to do better and better and better. And, as you look into the Bible, and in the first book of Genesis, when God created the earth, at the end of each day, he said, this is good. And so I think when you use the word good, that means that has a lot of power. And I think today is a good day. So, and I thought what brought this to mind first was when you're a little kid and you think back in your memories, a lot of memories aren't so much about words, but about the way you were feeling at that time. And, people say smells, yeah. But for me, it's when you think of joy and things, when you're a little kid, it's all about, man, I remember that feeling. And when my oldest sister wasn't able to be here today, but I'm so thankful that her daughter is here today with my older sister. I'm glad you guys made the trip. She's older, but I remember I was the ring bearer at my oldest sister's wedding. And I was a kid. I couldn't tell you a thing about that wedding. Okay? But I do remember a feeling I had. My uncle Alvy was a pastor, and he was doing the ceremony. And I remember standing there, and I remember feeling like, this isn't very fun, But my Uncle Alvy, and to this day, I could see it. He had this big old jolly round face on him. Sandy, I know you probably remember it too. And I remember looking at him, because the look that he had on his face, it was a light when he said, God is good. And as a little kid, that stuck with me. And that's the only thing I remember about that wedding, was when he said, God is good. So anyway, I say, God is good, and I am so very, very thankful for for these two these two young people right here. Now back to Luke. I gotta say a couple things about Luke, because it was like my first kid, and Sandy, my wife, always says, is like, I remember bringing him home from the hospital, and it was like we stuck him in the car seat in the back of the 1994 Pathfinder, which, by the way, he is still driving. I remember watching him drive out of the driveway in about a foot of snow when he first got his driver's license going to school. And I'm thinking, oh boy, but he's a good driver, so I had faith. But he grew up with a dad who was a science teacher, as all three of my kids did, and I know they're going to remember this. I was really into helping them out with their science projects. And I don't know, Luke, do you remember the crushed ice versus it's all about the
Surface area.
Surface area, you know? And what grade were you in when we did that? Fourth grade. That was his first science project. So it stuck, you know? But after that, though, I learned that Luke he's a very independent kid. And he didn't want me to help him with his science projects anymore, which panned out when he was in 8th grade. And then he goes, Dad, I got this one. And I said, okay. And his buddy from middle school's here too, around here someplace, Cody back there. And I go, okay. I wanted to at least get the guideline, because I always think it's important that you have some data to take, right? He goes, what are you guys going to do for your science project? And I go, Dad, we're going to go up to the gravel pit, which is where we used to shoot and sight in our guns and stuff. And we're going to take a pump shotgun, and we're going to take a bolt-action rifle, and we're going to see which one we can get the most rounds off in a row in case we get attacked by a grizzly bear. And I'm like, okay, have fun with that. And I walked away. And I said, I'm going to let him fly on this one all by himself. And it was like, oh my goodness. You know, and then, you know, it's like, if you ever read the book, How to Influence People, you know, Scott, what's the name of that book? Yeah. My brother-in-law turned me on that book. But when Joey, and I was talking to Spencer about this, and when you have kids, it's obvious they're not going to grow up to be you. But you spend your life kind of figuring out who they are. And Luke was definitely, and I'm so thankful that he's not me. Because it's been such a pleasure to get to know the man that he has grown up to be. Because he has grown up to be an incredible young man. Sorry guys, I'm taking more than Joey did, but I got to tell you a couple stories about his truck ventures, because I always tried to support him, even though in the back of my mind I'm thinking, oh no. But he always wanted to go look at motorbikes, he always wanted to go look at pickup trucks, and he wanted to buy them, and I'd say, okay, Luke. The funniest story, and then I'll be done. He found a Ford pickup in the panhandle of Idaho, and he wanted to drive over there and check it out and buy it. And I was all the way over there, I was praying, please, Luke, don't like this pickup truck. Remember that truck? So we could get over there, and we drive up to this guy. This guy's laying under this pickup truck, because we must have got there a couple minutes early, and he had drained the oil, and there's like white foamy oil all over the place. So you know the engine block's cracked, and there's foam all over the place. And Luke and I walk up, look at the guy under there laying in oil. We walk around the truck, and the bed of the truck, he just drug it out of the woods, because the whole bed was filled with moss. There was literally fir trees growing in the bed of this truck. And I looked at Luke, he goes, I don't want it, Dad. And I remember thinking, thank you, God. So anyway, but that was a lot of the times that I spent with Luke, and I'll never trade those memories for anything except for seeing where these two go in their future. God bless you both. I love you both. Thanks. Spencer.
The bad part about having to follow all those speeches is they were too awesome. Emma and Ella, you crushed it. Joey, you said you don't give speeches or talks? something really stood out in what you had to say tonight. He said him and Luke spent a lot of time together on the river, fishing together, getting skunked. Me and my daughter have spent a ton of time together fly fishing on rivers. We never get skunked. So I don't know if that's a Montana thing or a Nevada thing, but we know how to put a dropper out there on top of the dry and bring them in if they're not on top. I'll teach you that later. We're good. Yeah, this is an easy talk to give. Me and my son were talking. We're from Nevada, you bet. In Nevada, he gave me an under on how many times I would break up or emotionally crack tonight. He put it at 1.5. I took the under. He's taken the over for sure. So we'll see what happens. But first, I have just to say thank you to our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Yeah, we're just so blessed. There's so much answer to prayer for me and my wife tonight. As you raise your kids, right? You always pray for them and pray for a spouse because that's what you want to do as a parent. You want to launch them. You want to get them out of your house and get them out and grow their own community and be the next generation of young people who promote the Lord and support their people. And we've been blessed for 22 years, almost to the day, in about a month and change with Ava. We just got a great son-in-law with Luke. It brings my heart peace, my wife's heart's peace, knowing that we have a don't do it, Ella. That we have a son-in-law that's more than capable of taking care of our daughter. Not to be morbid, but if something happens to us, we know you'll take care of her, provide for her, and protect her. And I think, more importantly, help her to meet her potential as a young woman. And your future's bright. The other answer to prayer is we always taught our kids, hey, when you marry a spouse, my brother taught me this a long time ago, when you look at a spouse, you're going to marry them, you're going to marry the family. Not that that's an end-all. It could be a consideration. For me, it was a big win. And for us, it's another answer to prayer because Jack and Sandy and Sam and Joey and Nikki, we know we have a tight family. And we get together a lot. And we laugh loud on our side of the family, on my side of the family. And I know when our daughter's not with us at Christmas or Thanksgiving or those really cool birthdays, that she's in a place that will be a lot of fun and makes us jealous because we want to be there with you. And we're very grateful for that answer to prayer. I have to give some thank yous tonight, too. Thank you to all of you. I know probably 2/3 of you came from out of state. I've heard all the stories of flight delays. Supposed to get in at 8 p.m. You got in at 1 a.m. I met someone tonight, Ryan, on the Thatcher side of the family with kids, who left yesterday evening, drove through the entire night to be here today. It wasn't cheap. It's not inexpensive getting here, and it's not easy. And I can't look at my sister-in-law crying. And it means a lot to us, to all of you who took the time to be here, to honor Ava and Luke, and it honors our family too. So thank you. And we have the Cross Life family out there. Can you raise your hands? Yeah. So you didn't know it, but you've been our extended family for a lot of years. As a parent, we always prayed for Ava and said, hey, Mom and Dad can only do so much. Grandparents can only do so much. But you rely on friends and family and people like John and Tracy. Are they still here? Yeah, John and Tracy. Putting in your time and devotion to kids, young people. and grown, building into their lives. And it means everything to us. And we're very thankful and grateful for that. Thank you to my sister-in-laws, primarily April and Marcy, and my mother-in-law, Leanne. They've been here the last 2 days. These flowers look like they're really cool and maybe easy to put together. They're not. If you saw the pile of flowers over here and getting them back into the cooler next to those awesome bison steaks that we had tonight, they put a lot of work into it. Thank you. Not lost on us. And the biggest thanks goes to my wife. Of almost 31 years. She put this together. She organized it. She kept it on track. Probably the hardest part, she kept my daughter on track, who's like her dad and can't make a decision, save her life. And she put it together. I love you. Thank you. If you don't, yeah. For those of you who don't know Ava really well on the other side of the family, and some of you don't know her really well, there's a couple things about Ava I'd like to share. And stay with me, I only have like 3-4 minutes left. My daughter's quiet if you're around her. You wouldn't really know that, but she doesn't talk much. And you can confuse that quietness for being like kind of meek and mellow, and she's absolutely not that. She is arguably one of the most confident people I've known in my life, and I don't use that in passe. It's totally true. She never succumbed to peer pressure raising her. She never needed the accolades of friends or social media. She's 100% comfortable for who she is in Christ. And she was 100% easy to raise. I almost feel like it was too easy raising Ava. And I'm not joking. I work with a lot of nurses. I'm an anesthesiologist. And I work with nurses, and when she was 11, 12, they'd ask about family. Say, hey, how's your daughter doing? And I would say, great. And they're like, oh, a lot of drama in the house? Boyfriends? No. Oh, well, wait till she's 12 or 13. It's going to blow up on you. And then 12 and 13 would come. We'd have the same conversation. And then 14 and 15 came, and we had the same conversation. And Ava was like that all the way through. And she made raising her very, very easy. Ava has a ton of hobbies and all kinds of things that she can do well. Kind of say accomplishments, not accomplishments per se, but the list is too extensive to read. But Ava loves horses. Ava loves fly fishing. Me and Ava spent a lot of time on the rivers and lakes on inner tubes fly fishing. From our time with Les and Melanie in Paradise Valley 20 years ago, fishing here. Even better than fly fishing, she can bake like the boss. I predict a 20-pound weight gain for Luke in the next 6 months. Unless Ava's too busy for school, that'll be good for him. When she left our home, it was good for me. She won a lot of baking contests at the hospital and the lounge when she would send me with stuff. She can knock out a 500-page novel in 1 to 2 days if she has the time to do it. She taught herself to what? Sew and knit. She loves basketball. She's very good in high school basketball. She could drop a three-pointer, no problem. If she went to the free throw line, knew there was an 85-90% chance she was going to knock it down. She loves basketball. She can pick a good NCAA tournament bracket. She loves football. One time, we've done a lot of hiking together. She loves football. One night, me and Kelly came home from dinner, and we walked in the door, and we walked in, and Ava was visibly not upset, but perturbed, not very happy. And we're like, well, John will appreciate this a little bit more. But we go, hey, what's going on? It was the Steelers and Jets playing. I remembered. It was, I can't remember, Monday, Thursday night game. We're like, what's going on? She goes, it's 3rd and 1. They ran a sweep to allow the linebackers to penetrate into the backfield, and they stopped them. And she goes, then they went for it on 4th and 1. They ran the same play, and they did it again. Who wants to watch the football if the offensive coordinator is going to sing that same call 2 times in a row? And we were like, oh, man, we've created a beast. And but I'll circle back to that. But the best trait I've always loved about my daughter, one of many, but I just had to pick a few in the interest of time, is hard work. My daughter is a hard worker. When I say hard worker, I mean physically. She's not afraid to sweat. She's not afraid to get dirty. She's not afraid to get cuts and scratches. When she was 11, 12, she got into horses. All my family's from North Dakota, but I didn't know a lot about horses. And it turns out they're expensive. And but she got into horses, and she wanted to do lessons for hunter jumper. She was really getting into the jumping of horses. And so, we said, okay, that's fine, you can do that, but lessons aren't cheap. She wanted to do 2 or 3 a week. And so we said, okay, we got to meet you in the middle. You need to have skin in the game, because even though Mom and Dad could afford it, we didn't want to do that because you needed to learn a few lessons. And I was thinking as I said that, it's actually completely not true. Mom said that, Dad would have paid for everything. But Mom said, we need to toe the line here. And so my daughter, she would work at the stalls, mucking, feeding, watering, 5 days a week during the summer. She would get up in the morning, make her own lunch, because that was Mom's deal when they got about 14. You make your own lunch. Mom doesn't need to do it. You need to put your big girl boy's pants on. So you got to make your own lunch. You got to get out to the barn, take her out to the barn, and she would work all day. In exchange for those hours, she would get a certain amount of lessons back for her equestrian hunter jumper. And we thought, oh, that might last for a year or 2, but it's lasted up until this point. But she's done it faithfully. She never complained. She never said boo about it. And she worked at that barn all summer long. When school would come, we'd pick her up. Mom would pick her up. Mom would pick her up from school, take her out to the barn. She'd be at the barn for 2 hours. She'd do all the hard labor. She'd get some hours back. She would do the lessons, and we would pay for the difference because obviously couldn't make that up. And it just never stopped. And Ava had a total and unequivocal passion for doing that. And I always appreciated. I used to fight fires, wildland fires, smoke jump, and my daughter made me proud because she is a very tough worker. And the thing she never understood during all that time is she gave us one of the greatest gifts that a daughter could give any parent, that I wish on any dad from a daughter, and it was this. She was so busy with horses all these years, I never had a boyfriend cross the threshold of my door in 18 years, and every penny of those horses was worth its weight in spades. And I would pay double that to not deal with the drama of a boyfriend having to come into our home. Yeah. With that said, Ava was also a homebody. She wasn't busy. She loved her family, loves her cousins, loves her mom and dad, and she just loves hanging out at home, which presented a problem. The problem was this: how are we ever going to get her out of here? Like, she needs to go bye-bye at some point and spread her wings. Well, we're moving her brother into Gonzaga University his freshman year. We're at the dorm. There's a lot of energy of all the young people, right? And we're around and we're going through the dorms. And for the first time, you kind of see Ava's wheels start to turn a little bit. And she's like, oh, this is kind of cool. And we were walking down the dorm at the end of the day. Her brothers moved in, and in deadpan, 100% serious, in all earnesty, she looks to me and she says, hey, Dad, if I go to college someday, would you pay for a private room for me at the dorm? And in the back of my head, I'm like, yeah, there's no way that's going to happen. But I said, well, let's just deal with that when the time comes. And you fast forward it into high school, she's heading off to Montana State. We're all in on it. That's going to be great for her to spread her wings, get on her own. And then we find out, oh, wait, you're going to college and you're rooming with your best friend Emma from high school the last 2 years. Oh, and you're going with Zane, your best friend from the last few years. We're paying for you just to relocate up to Montana State with your friends. And then she has her best friend Ella, and they're moving into an apartment together. And we go, that'd be great for Ava. She kind of needs to spread her wings, kind of, be stretched a little bit. And somehow she was just surrounded by her best friends the entire time. That was a true blessing because they built into her life amazingly. And we're grateful for all of you. But the funny part, when she was at Montana State, we never heard the word boy and her boyfriend. And 3 years went by in school, 2.5, last summer roughly, 2.5, 3 years. Never heard the word boy. And we always wondered, me and Kelly would talk. So we've created a big problem. We have a daughter who can criticize the offensive coordinator of the Pittsburgh Steelers on Monday night, can fly fish like the boss, can bake, which isn't a problem because most people enjoy baking, but she loves hiking and she's proficient at so many things. And she's such a hard worker, she's not going to be very impressed by a guy who's a hard worker because she could outwork 90% of the males I've met in my lifetime. So who could be the man that could steal the affection of my daughter's heart? And, we met him last year. And first time we met Luke, I always taught our kids, or tried to teach our kids best of our ability. I don't want to hear that you're the person you're dating. We always encourage them to date a Christian person with the same values, because when you follow Christ and put him first, all the other problems fall in place, if that's the true calling of your heart. And but we encourage that. But that wasn't our choice. That would be their choice. But we met Luke, and when we met Luke, and like we always told Ava, I don't want you to tell me they're a Christian. I just want to kind of hang out with them and see it over the next few days. And the first time we met Luke, it was opening day, antelope season. He had his tag. And Luke probably was really bummed out we showed up that weekend, but we did. But Luke had an option, and Luke could have gone hunting that first morning from 5 a.m. to 10 or whatever, but he didn't. He chose to hang out with us first thing in the morning. And it spoke a lot to your character, because that showed me you put my daughter first. You put us first. And you put yourself second. And sometimes actions are louder than words. When we're around Luke, he just had it's funny. Like Pastor John, I heard this a lot tonight. He just had a lot of humility about him when we met Luke. He didn't have to say, this is who I am. I do dirt bikes. I've done fly fishing. I caught the 20-pound pike. What have you done? He was just comfortable with who he was. He had an amazing confidence about him. He has a true gentleness about him. And he just oozed. He was a man of character. And as a dad, that's all you want. I'd like if you like football a little more than basketball. That'd be kind of cool. But even better than that, he was willing to enter our NCAA tournament bracket last year. We're Nevada, you bet. You got to pony up. It's $20, one entry per. And Luke ponied up knowing he was handing us $20. And I thought that was like really cool. He picked Michigan State. The chances of that were nil. But you never know. You never know. It's a tournament. Everything could happen. And but the fun part with Luke, he's watched a few basketball games with us and some football games, and he's interested in it because he knows we're interested in it, and that's important to him. And that's really cool. And you have no clue what's coming. You're going to learn a lot more. And so, if you join me in a toast. Yeah. A toast to Luke and Ava. May you grant each other a lot of grace and give each other mercy when mercy's not deserved. In Timothy, it says when you give each other grace and you give each other mercy, you have peace. You have peace in your heart. You have peace in your home. Dream big. Have fun dreams. Make long-term goals that are fun. Enjoy the journey. God will bless you. We love you. Welcome to the family. Cheers.
How about a big round of applause for everybody who spoke tonight?
Cheers.